Good morning, everybody. Hold on a second. Ladies are first. Go ahead. Well, first of all, yeah, I'm very thankful for the opportunity to still be here. And I think more than anything else is to continue to be who I am as a coach. That's what I've learned. Regardless of whoever's at the top, I have full confidence in their abilities and lead the organization. And I just got to continue to do what I do, and that's to try to get the most out of my guys in the room and make sure we play complementary football. Well, again, the game hasn't changed since I've been playing it and coaching it. You stick to the fundamentals and teach the basics and try to implement that into the schemes and what you're doing. So I've always felt like that, and I'll be consistently doing that, as we move forward as well.
How important is it that you have to make a big improvement in the running game?
Well, again, everything kind of starts with the run game as far as, trying to do what you need to do, whether you're trying to stop the run on defense or implement your run. So, again, we're just talking about mainly now just how we're going to try to get that going, and looking at all the details inside out right now. So still a lot of work in progress that we're going forth right now. So a couple of weeks from now, we'll probably have a better idea.
You've had a lot of different backs here. Ideally, if you had the perfect one that you could get, what kind of back are you looking for?
Well, first of all, you want a home run hitter. I've worked with those guys in the past, whereas if you can put the ball in their hands, they can take it the distance, So obviously if you can get someone like that, someone that can consistently, be available as well, helps out, being able to be durable and also understand what you're trying to accomplish, whether it be inside, outside, whatever it can be, he's durable enough to handle all of that.
Do you feel that person's in the draft?
Not sure. I haven't looked that far ahead. Right now, we're really just trying to get our feet under ourselves and just evaluating the talent that we have right now.
And Danny, one thing they did was bring back Rex Burkhead. What did you think of Rex this season, and just regardless whether he's whatever role he's in, what he can do for you guys as a player?
Well, again, I think Rex took advantage of every opportunity that was given to him last year. One, he was patient, waited for his opportunity. He stayed healthy, coming off of a major knee injury the previous year. He worked himself into the rotation. And at the end of the year, he was healthy and doing the things that we needed to do. He ran with authority. He was physical. And he's also a smart football player as well. He helped us out in the passing game, protections, and those type of things there. So, obviously he'll continue to build on that as we move forward as well. Well, I think it's just his calm and demeanor. He's always going to be the same. Every time you talk to him, he's had success at every level. But the key is to him as a person. He's going to be straightforward about everything that he's going to talk about, and you can trust that and believe in that. And so that consistency and what he's been able to bring to the table, I think, is the key.
When you look at the philosophy of running backs right now, do you want a guy who's going to be physical in the passing game, especially when it comes to a team that last year allowed 40+ sacks?
Well, again, anytime you can get physicality at the running back position, you'll take that. And however way you can get that. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, in that regards. And I'm sure there'll be some guys out there available. We just got to be selective in how we go about that process.
Can you talk about just how the running back position is thought of? It used to be they had to have a strong running back early in the draft, and there was a point where running backs aren't that important. Can you talk about where you are in terms of the importance of the talent at running back?
Well, I think talent is always the key. It has evolved over the years, but it really comes down to, the one main ingredient that's being available. If you can have those guys available, if you can have a guy that's durable that can help you not only in the running game but also in the passing game, those are the type of guys that you want to have. So the defense can't decide whether he's going to be on the pass in the game just as a running back or a passing back. So an every down back, obviously, is the key. We can find someone like that. If that's available, we'll go after that.
When the staff was finalized,
Say that again. Sorry, I missed.
When the staff was finalized, how did you see whenever, I guess, the moment Levy sat down, they kind of laid out, okay, this is how you're going to go through the offseason,
season to build and work towards the things you want to do. How did you feel like that was handled in relation to like other staffs you've been a part of, and how he seems to organize things?
No, everything has been consistent from day one, with Lovey. When we got the call that he would be, our next head coach, obviously he reached out to us and talked to us individually as far as being a part of the staff. So I'm thankful for that, and everything's been handled, above board with himself. No different in the past, throughout my career, whether playing or coaching, everything has always been above board with myself, and I like to operate like that. So, again, nothing's changed.
How familiar are you with some of the new coaches that you'll be working with, new offensive line coach, tight ends coach, and what's that collaboration like in the first year being together?
Well, first and foremost, George Warhop, which is our new offensive line coach, we played together in college. So this is the first time that we'll have the opportunity to be together since then, Bearcats for life. And so I'm looking forward to that, just the camaraderie that we've had and the relationship since our playing days. When I first came back to the States, he was one of the first guys that I reached out to back in 2007 to talk ball and to learn the U.S. game again, because I had been away from it so long. So that's been great for myself, and I'm excited about that. And the rest of the guys in the room with the level of experience and knowledge that they have, it's been great, and we're going to collaborate and continue to move forward, just like we've been doing since day when they all got here.
Danny, what does it do for the coaching staff with the players who are still here?
Repeat that again, sir.
What does it do for the staff, for the players who are still here, when you see that Lovey has said, if Cincinnati can do it, why not you? Why not us?
Well, again, that's the key. Every year is a new year. I think you go back to 9-10 days ago, whenever the Super Bowl was over, everybody restarts now. And so what we have to do, and I'm sure he's already mentioned this as well, we just have to look at, where we're at right now, continue to build on the foundation and move forward, because you won 4 games last year. Cincinnati is a prime example. You get the right pieces to the puzzle in place and everybody moving in the right direction. You have a chance to be representing your city, your conference at the end of the year, and that's what we plan to do.
What was those days in Cincinnati like? What are your memories with Georgia?
They were good, they were good. Not like they are now, but they were good. I remember our last 2 years together in 81 and 82. At that time, we finished with the only winning records at Cincinnati, because prior to that, that wasn't happening. So from a cultural standpoint, we knew what it was like to turn the organization around or a university around. So, he's come in with the same mindset now as well.
Y'all both have aspirations to coach, and how have y'all's relationship been like as y'all moved around?
Start over again, sorry.
Did y'all both have aspirations to coach when y'all were playing together, or how did y'all's
No, I don't think anybody ever has the aspirations to coach when you're playing. I think you just fall into that. I know for myself it did, because I went playing and George went into coaching right away. So, his level of expertise in coaching is more so than mine. But I fell into it. Being a former quarterback, you're a part of the staff anyway. In all my years of playing, I went from playing to coaching the very next year. And so it's kind of carried on from that. I'm just, trying to keep my son out of it now, because that's what he wants to do. So.
Danny, what's George's coaching style like, especially in the offensive line?
Well, again, just, now having a chance to be with him, in the room, he's very knowledgeable. He's a disciplined, detailed guy, for guys up front. And he played the position, had success at the position. He's coached a lot of guys that had a lot of success. So, I fully expect for it to carry over from, his style of play to what his guys will bring to the table. One thing that he mentioned last week, and just talking with the staff, is a Bearcat was always somebody that's going to be tough and then take any extracurricular stuff afterwards. So we fully expect that to happen up front.
Danny, what did you think about Mills down the stretch last year on this side?
Say that again, sorry.
What did you think about Mills over his last 5 years?
Mills, okay. I thought Davis did a good job. You look at coming in, as a rookie and being a former quarterback, it's a lot to learn in a short period of time to do that. And I think, it showed from when he started the year to how he finished the year, that the time away and just watching Tyrod, when Tyrod came back to when he came back on the field again, he used that time to get better, to be more patient, and to take what the defense was giving him. And so I fully expect for him to carry on from that, coming into this year as well.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Obviously, Pep was a big part of coming here. This would be the third time now I've worked with Pep. Even my first job when I was 22 out of college with the Jets, we've done that. And Pep and I have stayed close. He's kind of, been a mentor and a little bit older brother figure. I grew up with four sisters. I never had a brother. Pep's kind of been like that person for me professionally here coaching football.
What was that like with the Jets starting off, and how much was Paul Hackett a part of forming your own philosophy and offense?
Paul Hackett was a huge part of that. I was an intern there for 3 years, and I was driving Paul Hackett back and forth to the airport, and that's where I got to know him. And then starting to work, Paul really taught me work ethic, a foundation of a system. That West Coast offense, coaching the quarterback position was really influential with Paul Hackett. But Paul really based a system of how to put together an offense, being able to work closely with him for those couple of years. And then Paul was even very influential in getting me to Tampa and starting my career and getting me down that way as well.
So how did you and Pep kind of get to know each other in New York?
So we shared an office for 3 years, Pep was the quality control coach. I was the, offensive assistant, I believe, with the kind of the titles. So me and Pep were both the young guys learning the offense at the first time. Pep had a little bit of a basis coming from Kansas City where he was. So in our, at night times in the evening, Pep would start there and was teaching me football, was teaching me the offense, was giving me that stuff he needed. I was at the age, I was going to ask a question in the middle of the meeting. Well, when me and Pep got together one-on-one time, that's where we really formed our relationship. And he helped me get started learning my football and how NFL football is really done.
What do you think about this group of tight ends?
I don't know a whole lot about them right now. Right now, we only have one on the roster. And the other two, we've kind of just 1 week on the job. I've started that process, watching them a little bit. But I don't have enough information right now to go into detail there.
How would you describe Pep's offensive philosophy? Somebody that's been around him as much as you have, and sort of what your role, what the tight end role would be in that?
Pep it's a tight end driven offense for sure. Even starting back from the Stanford days, and he carried that into the Colts system as well. But it's a run first kind of operation. But Pep's going to do anything he can with the skill we have here to score points. Pep's going to try and move the ball and score points. But it has very much been a tight end driven situation. But Pep's going to adapt that offense to how the personnel here and how we move forward there.
Tim, when you kind of look at Lovie Smith and his age, being around for decades in the NFL and college, what is it about it that makes you excited to work with him?
Well, two things I'd say about Lovie. One would be experience. I mean, you can't teach experience, whatever. And then high character. Everything I've heard about Lovie and been around him, it's high character. And that's where you want to work for somebody. Somebody like that's high character and can carry himself that way. That's the part that's really intrigued me about Lovie Smith so far.
Tim, with as much influence as Pep has, not only running the offense, calling plays, but also getting coaches he wants, what do you think about his possibility next step would be a coach?
I mean, obviously, I think that's everybody's kind of plan, that wants to be a head coach. I know Pep's kind of focused on this job right now. I'm sure those opportunities will come in time, and Pep's obviously an ideal candidate for that. But I know right now, Pep and our energies right now is really just focused on getting the Houston offense on track.
What is it about Pep that not only his intellectual ability to understand the offense and maybe defensive weaknesses that makes him, such a special coach when you hear people talk about him, but also his ability to relate to players and perhaps get the most out of players?
Yeah, I would say even not so much as players as people. Pep is a people person. He even gravitates to my kids, around my kids. My kids can't wait to see him, be around him, and he can really relate to wherever it is, whether you're 5, whether you're 15 or you're 25. Pep does a great job of relating himself and his information to the people in the group he is around with.
Tim, this is your first time being a tight ends coach. What has your knowledge been going through those offenses? I mean, working with Gruden and others. I mean, to form how that fits into Pep's offense, and how can a guy like Brevin Jordan, even though he may not have got the chance to look much out of him, how does he fit into that?
Well, I want to say this is going to be my 20th year now going to the NFL, and I've spent time in every room on offense. Even I want to say in 2010, I spent a lot of time with tight ends. I had Alex Smith and Jeremy Stevens, worked with some guys there in Tampa, and even was pretty close with the guys in the Colts, Kobe Fleener, Dwayne Allen. So at the end of the day, football is kind of football as you go around in the offense. And my expertise, I think, with Pep's offense as we're going here, I'm hoping to kind of really develop that and take that with the tight ends kind of here.
How much since the Colts team? I mean, obviously offenses seem to adapt every year. What about like recent philosophy has kind of work through you and how y'all collaborate since your past?
Well, right now, we're just at the early stages, right? We're not that complex into the offense right now. We're just getting into how do we call personnel groups, how do we call formations, how we call simple plays. We haven't got, 1 week into the job here, we haven't got that complex. Right now, we're just putting the foundation down. I think as we get the foundation down, then we'll start going back into, okay, hey, what did you do at this place? What did you do to that place? Can we integrate this to make this more modernized? But we're not at that phase right now. We're just in that early stages of this is what we're calling each kind of thing.
A couple more.
Looking at whenever with the Colts, it looked, there was a story, you said Pep kind of enticed you over there, pitching Andrew Luck to you a little bit. What was the pitch here?
The pitch here was Pep, right? It was just kind of getting us back together, right? He really just wanted me to come, kind of be here, going through the thing. I had a couple other opportunities, but at the end of the day, I've always Pep and I have stayed close. Whenever Pep's kind of called or wanted to be there, Pep was the enticement here for me to come so far.
Tim, when you kind of look at the tight end market for free agency and the draft, and even though that you work with running backs in Las Vegas, do you look for more so blockers or multi-scheme guys, or are you just trying to find the best fit for
No, we look for everything, right? So sometimes we have to group them into, hey, this guy's more of a blocking guy, this is a pass guy. Ideally, we'd love him to do both. We don't want him to just be pass. We don't be running a tight end group really in our offense. We'd love him to be both. Sometimes you can't always find that, and you have to understand that. But ideally, both would be better than a run or just a pass guy.
How much did your year coaching defense help form how you are able to coach? And I guess you're under Greg enough to
Yeah, it was different, right? It was from a different philosophy. It was just the one thing I really learned was how the defensive coaches see it, right? How they can break down the film, how they're looking at it. Where sometimes maybe we think they're giving them too much credit, and certain things that we didn't know that they were looking for. That was probably the biggest part of helping the 1 year spent on defense.
Yeah, I mean, being undrafted, you come into the NFL and you're often overlooked, and you know that you can't make the same mistakes that, say, a first or a second round pick can make. And so you really focus on the details. Obviously, hustling and pursuit and doing all the things right, and getting plenty of rest and everything like that. So all of that has helped me in my transition as far as understanding the details of the position, really mastering it, and then just being able to communicate, what I want out of the guys. That has been a real big piece of my coaching transition.
How much through Eric?
Cesaire.
Cesaire.
Yes, sir.
How much through Eric Washington, Bob Babbage, are you familiar with Lovie Smith's philosophy for defensive fronts?
Yeah, so those guys were with Lovie way back in the day in Chicago, and I've been hearing about. The funny thing is, I've been hearing about Lovie for a long time, because when I was in San Diego as a Charger, Ron Rivera was our linebackers coach, then our defense coordinator, and he brought a lot of the Chicago guys that were with Lovie, Tommy Harris, Alfonso Boone, and Scott, and so I've been hearing about Lovie since 2009, and the one thing that I always hear is a leader of men. A leader of men, he's going to get the most out of his guys. He's not a type of coach that's going to yell and cuss and everything like that. He's a teacher first, and he wants guys to understand situational football. He wants guys to work hard. He's a motivator, and just hearing that before even meeting Lovie has just been, he's exceeded my expectations and all of that. But those guys, we're all part of the same family. It's a penetrating, disruptive front, and we're trying to generate pressure with 4 guys, and that's what we're trying to do. 4 guys coming off the rock, 60 plays, 60 times, without any compromise. And so that's what you're going to see come Sunday. You're going to see 4 guys coming after the quarterback, and hopefully we can get that done.
Jacques, when you look at John Bernard and the kind of things he did, obviously you're still getting to know the personnel, but what do you see from him as a young pass rusher?
I mean, just strength, length, speed, passion. He doesn't stop. He has an incredible motor, great rush hands, and I just love the way he plays each and every snap. I can't wait to get my hands on him. I've already had him in my office, and we got to talk a little ball. I got to show him some things that I did with the defensive line in Buffalo, and he's excited. I'm excited to work with him.
Jacques, you got to work a little bit with Harrison and at Mike back at Orchard Park. Do you see anything of Roy Lopez in their style of game?
Oh, absolutely. Roy, he's another one that came by. Very stout at the point of attack. Great quick first step, strong, powerful hands, strong, powerful player, and he's young too. So I mean, he's going to be like almost like an empty canvas. I can mold him however I want right now. So I'm excited to work with Roy as well.
You said that Lovey exceeded your expectations.
Absolutely.
How did that happen?
You know, just the way he just commands, you know, the staff and the way he empowers all of us. You know, there's something to be said about a coach, a leader, you know, that lets his guys coach, really takes in, you know, what their suggestions that they're giving him and listens to them. So I think that working with Lovie Smith is going to be really good for my career.
What are some of the things from Buffalo that you feel like you can bring, some of the success that y'all had there that you can kind of bring here?
You know, the one thing I can tell you that we really emphasized in Buffalo was the standard is running to the ball. Without anything, you're going to see from the defensive line group 4 guys, scalded ass dogs, running to the ball every snap. And you know, whether that's a run situation, whether it's a pass situation, those guys are going to run to the ball, and they're going to, you know, we're going to try and punch the ball out. We're going to try and create negative plays, and we're going to try and generate pressure with 4 guys.
What ways does that help you attack and defend offenses in the NFL right now? Being able to do that before?
You're going to find out on Sunday. What you want?
When you look at Sean's defensive front 7 and Money's defensive front, do you see any similarities between the two?
Yeah, it's like I said. I mean, it's a distant cousin, but you know, pass rush, generating pressure with 4-man rush, really trying to be disruptive at the point of attack. That's what we're all about.
John, what does it do for the staff, players who are here right now, that Lovey said what Cincinnati did, why can't the Texans do that as well?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the NFL, one of the things I love about the Super Bowl, especially if you're not in it, is when it's over, okay? Because when the Super Bowl's over, it's a new season. Everybody is at square one. We're all 0-0. We all have an opportunity to win the Super Bowl. Last year, I remember Cincinnati was, you know, one of the worst, not the worst teams in the NFL, but a 4-win season, and then all of a sudden now they're in the big game. So it's about just staying consistent day after day after day, really believing in your guy, pouring into your guys, empowering your guys, and making sure that they're getting enough information that's going to put them in the right position to win.
You're speaking a lot like relentlessness, it sounds like, from the defensive line. I mean, having played in that,
Yeah.
coached it as well, like how does a whole group kind of take on that identity? And it seems like it needs to be a deep group too.
Well, it starts with leadership. It starts with me first. I have to lead the group. I have to be the energy for the group, okay, each and every day. That's one thing you'll always get from me. When I walk on that field, I'm going to be prepared. I care about the guys, and I'm going to make sure that the same approach that I bring to coaching, my life, which is relentless attitude for excellence, is what I expect from the players. And you have to install that. Not everybody has that in them, but they have that in them. They just got to know how to find it. And I got to get that out of those guys.
Was your readiness or your fired up nature for this season starting as soon as the Super Bowl ended any different or heightened because of how y'all's season ended in the playoffs?
No. This is just the way it is, and this is just the way I've approached it every year that I've been in the NFL. You know, everybody says the NFL is not for long. It isn't, and nothing is guaranteed. Okay, you know, we're not guaranteed to be here tomorrow, so I just try and live my day, my life, every single day like it's gonna be my last, because I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Okay, I know that I have this right now. Tomorrow, right after I get done with this, I'm going downstairs to continue, you know, figuring out how I can get the rush out of those guys. So.
What are these early days like for someone like yourself coming into an organization,
Yeah.
new staff? Everybody's trying to prepare for the combine, the draft, just getting to know each other.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
kind of what that's like.
And that's pretty much it. You're meeting new guys. Some guys you already know. Some guys you're familiar with. You know, playing have coached against them, or you know you're a friend of a friend, and you kind of introduce yourself, and just learning the terminology and the playbook and things such that, and really just seeing what you have, and just watching the tape, and just keep going through the tape and seeing okay, where can we improve? Where can we grow? This is excellent right here. Let's continue doing this. So it's a lot of that right now, and you know, once all this other stuff, you know, free agency, the draft is all over, and we have that team together, then we can really hit the ground running.
There were some struggles here. There were some struggles here last year with runs, kind of longer runs, gashing runs. And how does the defense line fit into that? And I mean, being aggressive at getting the back, but
Yeah.
also being able to stop running.
And just like I told you, you're going to find that out on Sunday. Okay, now I will say this. You are relentless, okay, because you've asked a lot of questions like that, and I like that about you, okay, because that's how you got to be if you want to get your stuff across, okay? And so I'm all about just communicating and just being a good resource for the guys and making sure that they're ready to play each and every day.
Have you talked to Travis Johnson?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I went down to see Trap J, and that's my brother right there. I love him. We played together in San Diego, and we formed a bond since day one. And he's been an excellent resource for me around here. He told me I got to buy some cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. I got to go check out the rodeo, and he's told me some good spots to go eat. So, yeah, I'm excited about that.
It's last 5 years in Jacksonville, definitely familiar. That always helps, as you're starting to prepare for opponents, or if you have familiarity. I think it helps communicate with the players and put together a plan.
You may have passed each other in the night. Did you know Nick at Central Michigan, or was he gone by the time you got there?
Yeah, Nick and I go way back. He was a GA at Saginaw Valley, and I was a GA at Central Michigan, and we worked some camps together. And I think we missed each other. That was a while ago, but we were somewhere in there close together.
And what was y'all's kind of relationship from there, and how y'all crossed paths?
Yeah, I think both of us being in the NFL. I've spent a few years in the division with New England, so seeing each other 4 games at the Combine, just kind of stayed in touch.
Jacques, for last season, just seeing Lovey's defense, what is it that you like about it? What are some areas that you think you can improve on?
I just think the track record that Coach has with building defenses, the one thing you've seen always over the years is you have a defense that he gets to play really fast, play really hard, and they take the ball away. And all of those things I'm looking forward to be a part of.
How much did Brian Gordon influence your career, both how you view defenses, but also your jump to the NFL?
Yeah, Brian. So actually, Brian was a coach on staff when I finished playing. GA'd for him. He was a big reason how I got in the NFL. Great coach. I owe a lot to him, really. Between him and a guy, Willie Martinez, really 2 guys that have taught me from when I was real young, taught me a lot about the fundamentals of the game and taught me how to teach.
We've been able to see a lot of Justin Reed and the other safeties. What do you think about the personnel that free agents and guys are on contract?
Yeah, I think it's a good group. It's guys that have played a lot of football. I think it helps being in the system for a second year. Those guys are probably a little bit ahead of where I am. But I think it's a good group that the guys have played and have experience in the league, and I look forward to working with them.
Joe, can you tell us about George Warhop, since you know him well, about what kind of coach he is, what people can expect?
Yeah, extremely intelligent, hard-working guy, demands from his players. Really just one of the best coaches I've been around. Good man, somebody that the players trust. He's honest. Really just checks a lot of those boxes of things that you aspire to be as a coach. He's got it all.
You've had myriad roles of your career. Where did you feel like you formed what you bring here the most, and what spots in your career?
That's a good question. You try to take something from everywhere you've been. Anytime you cross paths with different coaches, different philosophies, that kind of molds you as a coach. Maybe you find things that you like, things that you don't like. Put all those things together and try to just continue to grow and try to find a good method of teaching players and get them to play well on Sundays.
Joe, do you know the other Joe Danna?
I do. It's.
When did you meet him? Was it the Super Bowl with Atlanta?
No. So I was in Atlanta, but we came, I want to say it was 2014, maybe we came and practiced against Houston. And our ops guys came to us and they said, hey, so you know this Joe Danna in Houston? And because he always does the escort for the opposing teams. And so we met then, and we've just kind of settled that we're probably distant cousins somehow, and we've had a good relationship for a while. Yep.
With Lovie Smith's defense, how have you seen it? Where do you feel your role is with that, and how? I mean, it's shifted a lot in his career and how it's adapted. Where do you fit in with that
is to coach the safeties the way that he wants me to coach the safeties. It's pretty simple. He's got an established system. I think he's open to ideas and things like that, but he's got a system that works. And learning the techniques, the fundamentals within that, put together a good way of teaching those safeties and how they want it and how they can function within the system and get them to go play fast.
Joe, Levy's been around the league in college and the NFL for over 2 decades. What is it about him that makes you want to come work for him this season?
I really, from afar, I see him as one of the icons in our business. When you look at great defensive coaches that this game has really ever seen, I don't know how you don't include him in that. He's got a proven track record. He's got a system that's been consistent over years. It's had proven success. And again, I just feel fortunate to be a part of it and get a chance to work for him alongside of him.
What did you recognize in the safeties when y'all were playing them last year?
Be honest with you, didn't study him real close. Most of my time is spent studying opposing offenses, but we're in the division, so I got a chance to see the guys. And, versatile group, experienced group, as I mentioned before, and, really digging into it now and seeing how these guys fit.
As someone who coached against some of the offensive players that are going to return, do you find it, are you going to be kind of lending your sort of like knowledge and
Glad I don't have to defend Brandon Cooks anymore. He got the best of us the last couple of years for sure.
What do you think about Davis Mills?
Good quarterback. I think very consistent. Took care of the ball. I'll let Pep handle that from his end. But saw out of the younger quarterbacks we played, probably one of the better guys we saw last year.
Joe, when going to the free agency and the draft, are you looking for safeties who can be versatile and play both roles, or are you looking for role players who are probably be better at coverage, or better against run support? What's your philosophy on that?
Finding good football players. Leave it at that.
How are your roles in that? Now that the coaching staff is put together, how do you all collaborate towards the combine, the draft, and kind of your fit in that?
Yeah, it's still kind of learning our process, but everything comes down from Nick and from Coach, and how they, whatever assignments they give us for draft, combine, free agency, evaluate, pass my evaluation along, and let them make the decisions.
Really excited to continue to be part of it. Obviously was a part of it a year ago, and excited to keep going. Have known Lovey and have a lot of respect for Lovey, so excited to work for him.
What are the things you see as Pep steps into this role, how y'all are adapting this offense into next year?
We're in the infancy stages of that, to be very honest with you. But Pep does a great job of building and implementing his system, and we'll do the best that we can to put our players' talents in the best position to help them and us score points.
Obviously, y'all are adding some pieces to the draft and others that that'll dictate a little bit. What overall, maybe just in how you view your offense and stuff, what are the things you're looking for to maximize what y'all want to do?
I think you're looking for something specific there. I mean, really, truly, add as much talent to the building as we can. Get better at each position and in each position room, and then maximize what we have in the building at that point. Obviously, we're growing, and the roster will grow and change throughout the off season, and Nick and Lovey will do a great job of that, and we'll maximize who we have in the room.
How did the passing game coordinator role come about?
It was just to me, I think it was a familiarity with Pep, and I think Pep and Lovey have entrusted me and have thought enough to put me in that spot, and so I'll have my eyes on the passing game and do everything I can to help us be the best that we can be offensively that way.
You knew Nico Collins before.
Yeah, you bet.
What did you think about his rookie year and kind of where he needs to go?
Yeah, I had a pass with Nico at Michigan, and I was excited to see him come in. I think the most impressive thing for him was how he came in a year ago. The shape he came in physically, and just his preparedness. But then really everything else for him, all his traits kind of took over from there. He's a great person. He works hard. He loves football, and he's going to do everything he can to be successful. So he was who I knew him to be at that point.
And with Brandon Cooks having a leader like that out there, it's not like to kind of know that you have that foundation. So you start with at the receiver position, have somebody that sets that standard.
Yeah, Cookie's a special guy. He's a great pro. He's a special person. He's a leader in the receiver room. He's a leader in our locker room. He's a leader for currently the receiver room is a pretty young room, and really I would say he's for all our young players, he really represents someone that they should watch and learn from. I'm grateful to be in the room with him. I enjoyed it a year ago, getting to know him both as a person and a player, and have the utmost respect for what he has done and what he'll continue to do.
What is it like for you and your family? What is it like for your family, for you and your brother when y'all face each other? Whatever role y'all are in.
It has a lot of elements. There's a lot of fun to it. We enjoy the aspect of competing against each other. Football's has been a major part of our life, our entire life. There's elements that we I don't know. I mean, the truth is, you feel bad for the guy that lost. There's a personal element to that. That's natural, and I'm sure my parents would probably have other things to say about the roller coasters that they ride with it. But we have a lot of fun with it.
How much do you hope to follow in his footsteps at some point?
I don't think there's any question about that. I want to be the best that I can be, and continue to grow in the game, and learn as much as I can, and if I can be in that position at some point, that would be awesome.
What you see in Davis Mills over the course of this last year working with him, what's the next step as you continue to work with him?
One more time.
What do you see over the course of the season with Davis Mills as you get the chance?
Yeah, I feel like Davis is very comfortable in his own shoes. He's got a great confidence about who he is in the building and out on the practice field and on game day. Just from afar, I wasn't in that room a year ago. That was what I would say I was most impressed with a year ago.
And when going into the draft and free agency, do you guys have certain assignments that you're looking for, certain players or certain aspects that you're looking for, or is it just kind of whatever thing is kind of looking for as well?
Yeah, Nick and Lovey will build the roster, and we'll evaluate who they want us to evaluate, and obviously we'll try and add good pieces to the building.
Your most recent college experience, were there any takeaways not only from maybe relating to young players that you'll bring here, but also the teaching aspect of being able to teach young players what you want to be done?
Yeah, I think that's relevant. I think being able to relate and teach to young people is a continuous thing in coaching, in teaching, which is really a lot of what we do. So I'm hoping that I would think that my experiences, in the past would help me with that.
How much did your father impact you and your brother, given he was a long-time coach, very successful at his level?
Yeah, I give my dad all the credit for really starting everything that I am as a coach, and really just teaching me how to love football. To be very honest, growing up in Canton, Ohio, you learn how to love football as much as anything else. And he was very successful at what he did, and we're very proud of him.
Then you began a lot of your career in coaching high school. How much does that make up who you are and what those experiences like?
Yeah, I have a variance of coaching at all the levels. It changes, as guys get older and mature, both physically and emotionally and mentally. And I think it does nothing but helps you learn different ways to communicate and teach.
Then you kind of look at having his experience at the college level with young players coming back to that. Do you think that'll help him translate to this next group of kids coming in?
I think it would. I think I try to do my best to communicate and teach and relate and connect with the players the best way I can to get the best out of them.
You guys seem to have a lot pick up towards the end of the season once y'all started doing a little more up-tempo in spots. How much did you see in that, and how it worked with the offense, and how y'all can use that maybe in the year ahead?
Yeah, I'll let Pep to speak to his growth and maybe some things that led to his growth, but I don't think there's any question that he had some success at the end of the year that we're all excited about going into the next year.
Did you have an opportunity or discuss with your brother joining in Vegas? And if so, how come you decided to stay here?
Yeah, no, I think the opportunity to stay here, was pretty evident to me pretty early, and I'm happy here. My wife likes it here, which is probably as important as me. It really never went down that path. I'm happy for him and the path that he's going down, and really excited for him to do it again. He's earned another opportunity to be a head coach in this league, and I'm happy to be here.
What do you think the step is after seeing last year? What are the things that can keep y'all from, or that seeing what you guys had, to get better? What are kind of things that you feel like need to be improved?
I think if you listen to Lovey, I mean, we're going to come in every day and attack the day and be better in really every aspect. We got a lot of things to get better as a coaching staff. Our ability to coach our players and put our players in great position to be successful, and then play together and protect the ball and play complementary football together and continue to grow together.
How's everybody doing?
You guys, being back for second year, what do you hope to do to try to build on last season, what you did with the linebackers and the whole defense?
I think we just need to progress in all the same areas that we emphasize, starting off with takeaways. We had a decent amount of takeaways last year, but we left so many on the field that if we could just get those, I think that our season will go a different direction.
Miles, how did you feel about Lovey getting a job, and had you given up on him getting his third chance?
No. I mean, ultimately, I've always been taught if you do a good job at your current job, then other jobs will come up. So I always kind of held out hope that he was going to get another opportunity. I think he has shown that he's a good coach, and if you're a good coach, then you're going to continue to rise in the profession. That's what he's done.
You've been working with your dad for a while at different spots. I mean, what have you seen through the defense that y'all been working on as it's been modernized into what you've seen in the NFL recently?
We have made a lot of tweaks. I think sometimes people confuse, hey, you could be another cover 2 type team, and you think that we're real close. And we always like to say, yeah, we may be close, but we're more cousins than we are brothers. So at this point, our defense is kind of turned into something unique, and it helped out being in college. We were able to see a lot of the elements that were going to come to pro football a little bit sooner, where we were able to adjust things a little bit. Going into my 7th year in the system, I would say we're a very different defense than we were in 2014, my first year.
What are some of those things that you saw early in college?
They do some different things with some option things, different type of polling systems that just were not introduced into the NFL until now. But more college guys come in. Obviously, football, if you find something that teams can exploit, they're going to continue to do it, and that has started to trickle off into the NFL.
Not specific to the position and the guys you coached, Kamu is a free agent, so is Christian. Just your thoughts on what you have with those guys potentially if they're back and the other guys are under contract?
Well, we'll see if they come back. I think that's a little above my pay grade on those type of things, but I'll say they had good years, and they're vet players. They know how to attack it. Every single day they came in, they did it the exact same way and just showed consistency that only a vet could really show. We'll see if they come back. I obviously would enjoy it if they did, but, the NFL's a business, and I understand how it goes.
Miles, there's 2 new guys on staff who played underneath Lovey and Illinois. What have you seen from them in their coaching style?
I think there's a way that you could attack coaching if you played in a system compared to if you're just coaching it. They can understand a little bit better of what the individual player is thinking, and I think that they're going to be able to show that. Pretty sure both of them played all 4 years in the exact same system, and I think they're going to be able to answer some questions that players had that maybe, I wouldn't be able to answer as well.
When did you find out that your dad got the job, and what was your reaction?
Pretty much the same time you guys all did. I kind of stayed out of the whole process. As a linebacker coach, they're not really asking my opinion on the matter. So when team leadership and Coach Smith and McNair family decided to go that route, eventually I was told, and the celebration kind of started.
I noticed you referred to him as Coach Smith, not Dad.
Oh, absolutely. Up here, he is only Coach Smith. You know, obviously Thanksgiving might be a little bit different, but in this context, he's only Coach Smith.
Ross, what are your own coaching aspirations? Like, assuming that you guys achieve some of most of your goals that you have here, where are you trying to take your career?
I think if every coach was honest, they would tell you that they want to be a head coach one day. I want to be a head coach one day. You know, ultimately, we're in a profession where we are the alpha males of the alpha males. So if you really have that type of mindset, I think there's only one place that you ultimately want to get there. And, you know, if God willing, I'll be able to do that one day.
Miles, last season with, finishing top 10 in takeaways and having players who played underneath Loving a lot, the defensive staff back, does that give you a little bit of comfortability in knowing where you can go in the next season?
Absolutely. You know, we did a lot defensively last year for the year one, but when you're in a system for multiple years, that's when you're really able to build on other things. In Chicago, we were able to get to so much success, I think, because, you know, you have an Urlacher and a Lance Briggs who are in the same system for 8 years. You know, those questions you had in year one, you're not going to have those same ones in year 4, 5, 6. So we were able to just build upon, you know, the foundation that we built last year.
And now that the coaching staff is put together, how much do you contribute whenever y'all are going in on the combines next week, draft coming up? What's kind of your role in building up and what you guys can add to this role?
Well, as a linebacker coach, I'm involved in a lot of aspects of our defense, whether it's the run game, the pass game, but all of us are. You know, we're a very collaborative defensive staff. It was the same way last year. I expect that to be the same thing going forward. We all have input on play calls, all those types of things, so I honestly don't expect too much of a change to occur.
Coach, how would you describe Coach Smith's enthusiasm and energy for this job? It's obvious that he's always loved being around football and his players, but there seemed to be an extra bit. How would you describe that for me?
Well, I would say he is ecstatic. You would not expect that he is a 63-year-old man. He wakes up at 4 something every day, and he'll call me and wake me up a lot of times. Hey, why don't we do this, this, and this? His mind is constantly going, and it kind of goes back to the question you brought up about, you know, what I refer to him as. He's coach all the time because we're always talking football. You know, every single day, pretty much in my life has been about this. So, you know, he's ecstatic. He's ready to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, encouraged. I think corner is Lonnie's natural position within this scheme. I think he has a unique skill set. God has blessed him with size and just innate ball skills, just things that you can't teach as a coach. So, yeah, encouraged by some of the things he did at the end of the year.
What did you see him, working through another year with Lovie Smith here? I mean, as y'all are preparing for year 2 with his defense here in Houston, what are some of the things you think you can improve on, build on?
I think we just need to build on the foundation that we laid the first year. I think a Lovie Smith coach team is going to play hard. They're going to play with great effort. And they're going to take the football away. The thing that we talk about as a staff is takeaways and not turnovers. You don't want to wait for the offense to turn the football over. You want to take it away. So I think if you go into the game with that mentality, you give yourself 60 to 80 opportunities to take the football away.
Lovie added 2 coaches to the staff who played underneath the system. Does that give you a little bit more comfortability knowing that they're all kind of the same pitch of what you guys want to run next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to have somebody who's lived in the scheme and played it and has experience that way. Both young coaches, but encouraged by what they've showed up to this point.
Why do you think Lovie had such a strong year last year?
I think this scheme is tailor-made to his skill set. Being visual on the football, using his speed, his instincts, his tackling ability. I think he couldn't pick a better scheme to play in than Lovie Smith's defense.
What ways have you seen, through Lovie Smith's career, people have talked about his defense as it was and how it's progressed? How in your experience, how have you seen it kind of adapt what you had seen previously and the tweaks that have been made to kind of modern offense?
Yeah, I mean it's evolved over the years, but it's stayed relatively simple that way as well. So it allows you to play fast. It allows you to detail every defense because we're not throwing 15 to 20 calls at them. They got a handful of calls. They know what they do in each call. It allows them to put their cleats in the ground and play fast.
When you look at the scheme right now going to free agency and the draft potentially, based off size, skill, or are you more so looking at players who can do versatile bits of zone command?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're ultimately looking for the best player. I defer to Nick on those questions because I trust his vision. But I think ultimately you're looking for the best player that fits well within your scheme.
Last season when Dez was moved to the outside, did you see an easy transition for him there?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy who hasn't played corner since college, and he took the move pretty well. It's obviously not an easy transition, and I think if you polled everyone in this room and you asked what is Dez's optimal position, most would say nickel. But he was encouraged by that. He embraced it, and he did what was best for the team, and not necessarily what was best for Desmond King. And you win with football players like that.
Well, first thing we got to do is make sure we evaluate the guys we have, which I'm in the process of doing that. And then it depends on how we want to add to it, all right? And then from there, it's just philosophically what we want to do offensively. In terms of getting more out of the runs, I think it just starts with our mentality up front. It's us, it's the back, it's the receivers, it's all of it. So to be a successful run team, right, everybody puts it on the line. If it's just on the line, we're going to be a 3.8 to 4-yard average team. If everybody's involved in it and we have a real back and we're doing what we're supposed to do, then you're going to be 4.5, 4.6, 4.7 a carry. And the way I look at the run game, it's about yards per carry, okay? Because we can't dictate how many carries the back's going to get in the game. It's all based on how the game's going to go. So if we're getting a lot of carries, that's great, right? We might have 140, 150 yards rushing. But if we're getting minimal carries, we might be less than that. But the one thing you're always going to look at, I'm going to look at, is what's our yards per carry. And I like that to be above 4.2, 4.3, 4.4, somewhere in there.
George, you just kind of you went evaluating personnel, but what did you think of Titus Howard? Just maybe looking at him from afar.
You know, I worked Titus out. I like Titus coming out in the draft. I mean, when he came out, I was in Jacksonville, and we had two guys we wanted to draft as a tackle. It was Titus and Jawan Taylor, whom we took Jawan because Titus went before. So we really didn't have a chance to draft him. So I'm excited to work with Titus. I think he has a skill set that should be a very, very good player in the NFL.
Do you see him as a tackle?
You know, I thought he was only a tackle. You watch him this year, I thought he went in there and he did a nice job at guard. I mean, so to have that flexibility going into this season to manage to get the best 5 on the field, I think that's good for us.
What do you think you guys need more from the interior line, from what you evaluated?
What do you mean by what do we need more?
Just performance-wise, like.
You know, I'm not going to comment on performance. I'm just getting to know the guys that we have here. I think due to injury last year, you're playing multiple guys inside there, so that's not a fair evaluation of what happened here. I just know whoever we have inside, we want them to be physical. We want them to be tough, okay? We want to have a mindset that we're not going to take any crap out of anybody, right? And we want to give our backs the best chance to be successful.
George, what attracted you most about coming here to Houston, working for Lovie?
That's I'm going to just tell you right now, coming to work for Lovie, you have no idea how excited I am about that. And I've known Pep for a number of years. We started back in San Francisco, and then what he did when he was at Indianapolis, and then when he's done with these young quarterbacks, just that combination really, really excites me.
You mentioned that you were in the evaluation process of the offensive line.
Right.
How much have you conversation had with Larry Tunsil?
I have not talked to those guys yet, so I will reach out once you got to understand, it's been a whirlwind at this point, and we'll have plenty of time to talk. So at this point, I'm watching tape. We're talking about offense. So I barely have enough time to call my wife at this point. So I'm going to tell you, I love Larry. I'm going to love Larry Tunsil, but I love my wife. So I'm always going to make sure I'm calling her. And when I get to him, I will get to him.
What about your relationship with Pep Hamilton?
Say it again?
Your relationship with Pep Hamilton?
With Pep? I know Pep very well. I mean, like I said, we met in San Francisco in 2005. So what's that, 17 years ago? And I've been a fan of his. He and I have been in contact since then. So I've been a fan of his when he was at Stanford. Like I said, when he was at Indianapolis, the last couple of years when he was in San Diego, and now he's here and what he's done in between. So I'm excited. Pep's really smart. Bunch of energy. He's inclusive, which is outstanding for everybody on the offensive staff. So, and we have a tremendous offensive staff. So I'm really fired up about it.
George, did you take part in the Walsh Fellowship to early in your career?
Yeah.
How did that maybe change the trajectory of your career, and what kind of doors did that open?
That's an interesting question. So I was coaching at Vanderbilt in 1989, and a guy named Tom Walsh, who was my high school coach, was the offensive coordinator at that time at the Raiders, contacted me about coming out and doing a minority internship. And at that time, my goals were to be a head coach in college. And then I went and was for 4 weeks with the Raiders, and I walked out there and said, I got to coach in the NFL. So it changed how I looked at things in terms of my career.
Coach, how would you define yourself as offensive line coach?
Really? Demanding, fair. I'm going to hold them to the same level of accountability I hold myself. So as we go through stuff, I don't know if this is a great definition of myself, but I know how I like to be treated, and I try to treat my players the same way as I like to be treated. The one reason I love working for Lovey is there's no gray what the expectations are, right? One thing with my players, they understand there's no gray what the expectations are, and we're going to push to work to those expectations. If I'm being held to that level, I'm going to hold them to that level. So that's pretty much my definition of how I go about my business.